I'm just getting a live stream going.
Let me know when. So. Usually our applications are probably just one before.
All right, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting for the Committee of Adjustment for March 11th, 2025. To start off, I'll take any declaration of pecuniary interest. For only three, I see none. We'll move to Agenda 2, the adoption of the agenda.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Roger Guignon. Be it resolved that the agenda for the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting on March 11th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Any questions, comment, concerns?
Nope.
All in favor? Carried. Number 3, adoption of the previous minutes.
It is moved by Roger Guignon and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on February 11th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Any questions? No? All in favor? Carried. Number 4, agency comments.
There.
No, nothing, no concerns. Any?
Resolution.
Roger, do you have a chance to look? No concerns?
Nope.
Pete, concerns? No? All good?
Great.
So we'll move on to number 5, applications for consent and minor variance. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. So 5.1 consent application. Number 1, Jason Rouet.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Roger Guignon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of new lots at 429 Leverett Drive, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before March 12, 2027, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, be surveyed and transferred to the municipality, and that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drain maintenance among the parts into which the land is being divided. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to share my screen here quickly. This is the application on the screen here. The applicant is proposing to create 2 new lots, the severed and the retained, each have a frontage of over 85 meters and an area just under 7 hectares, so they meet the minimum lot size and frontage requirements. Fairly straightforward application. If there's any questions.
So he's going to retain the middle lot?
Yes.
So what's the bottom pin? That's somebody else's on the right-hand side?
Don, do you want to?
I can
Pause here?
address
Okay.
that. It's a bit of a funny situation. We really don't know where that acre of land is until we get out there and survey it. When we read the description of it, it was originally created by the owner of the lands to the east. And the description says you start at the southeast corner of the lot and you go over so many feet. But it puts it in the middle of the neighbor's property. So we're not really sure where it is. We understand there's a well on the property. So when our field staff come out to do the survey, and I'll probably come out personally as well, we're going to look for any evidence of an old foundation, whatever. Our client owns that little piece, wherever it happens to be. So we're not really sure if it's out of, like it was created by the neighboring lot. So it's got to be on the neighbor's property. They can't sell land that is in our client's property. So and just from the the distance given in the deed, it would appear that they thought they were putting it in the southwest corner of their property, but it was just too far. So it wound up being in, according to the deed, wound up being in the middle of the neighbor's property, which obviously you can't sell your neighbor's land for them. You can try, it's highly profitable if you can, but in any event, that's going to be the trickiest part of this survey, is just determining, is there actually a title to that property? Does it really exist? And if so, where does it exist? And so it's going to be a little bit of a trick, but if it is attached at all to the neighboring property, it will form part of that severed lot. The two of them will be together as one. They won't be two separate individual properties. So we'll have a little L-shaped.
Okay,
property.
so, and I guess that's what I was asking. Either it's gonna be an L shape or it's gonna be a straight line,
Correct.
because that portion doesn't belong to the, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
Okay.
It was created as a standalone lot. Our client has purchased it, but we really don't know where it is. It's a little weird, but I guess that's why you hire a surveyor to figure that stuff out. So we will once we get out in the field.
And if I may add, just for clarification, regardless of if that bottom of the L, where it sits, even if it's entirely contained within what they're saying is that,
It's theirs.
we still have the minimum frontage required, whether that be half in, half out, wherever that chunk ends up being, we're okay on the frontage.
And I understand the frontage part. My concern was more of if that 63.7 portion didn't belong to the landowner and it's more to on the
Right.
85, well, then we have a concern, right?
Well-
How can you sever a lot if it's not theirs?
Correct. If in fact it is east, if it's east of our east property boundary, so say this little square winds up moving this way, based on, where the occupational evidence would put it, this severed lot still stays the same. This then becomes naturally severed because the owner here would own all the way around it. So it would then still remain as a standalone lot like it was always intended to be. However, if it does touch our client's property, then we fully intend that it's part of the severed lot. It's not going to be two lots, a little tiny lot and a great big lot. It'll all be just one big L-shaped property.
Because he did purchase that 1 acres.
He
Right.
did, he purchased it wherever it is. He owns it. But if it turns out that there is no indication that it's here, well, then he's bought something that's within his own lands anyway, and we're still going to keep the same configuration, the 3 lots, like Sam had clarified for me.
So I have no concerns with it. My question is, how did the client at whatever or how long ago was able to purchase an acre lot that has no clue where it is?
Impact.
Oh, well.
Oh, don't blame Impact. They're not here to defend themselves.
No, it is. It's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
because the
Okay.
drawings show it, all of the maps show it like we've got it right now.
Okay.
And, if nobody goes out and checks, they bought what they bought.
Okay.
Yeah, it was and actually some of them did show it more in the property, so I think he probably just bought it to be covered anyway, so that nobody else would have an ownership inside of his, or potentially have an ownership inside his land. But that never could have occurred anyway, because like I said, it was originally created by the neighbor, but the description, see, because back in the day when this was first created, you didn't have to have a survey. You went to a conveyancer or a lawyer, they wrote up what was called a meets and bounds description. You start at the corner, thence you go 800 feet, and then you go 210 by 210. The only problem was the original lot might have only been 500 feet wide. And without a survey, they didn't really understand that. So someone said, oh yeah, it's probably about 800 feet to the corner, and well, good enough for us, and that's how they wrote it up. But unfortunately, that's not what they actually own. So
There
now the
is,
trick is finding where it really is.
And like Paul was saying a while ago, there is a well, there is a driveway. They're all in the same place, which is approximately where this is looking.
Yeah, when we look on Google Maps or like any of the satellite image programs, you can see it, but you just can't see the foundation. So when we do the survey, we'll wait till the snow's gone, well, we'll do the balance of the rest of it, but before we finalize that portion, we'll wait till the snow's gone so that we can have a good look and just be sure. There may be old fencing defining the boundaries of it. Who knows? We won't know that till we actually get out there.
Okay. Roger, any
Different.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I remember the area, but is it basically all forest or bush behind there? Okay, it's not agricultural, right? No. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I just went by Don's head, so.
He's right.
All right, so if there's no other questions, everybody in favor in this? Carried. We'll move on to number 2, CO8 /25, Paul Finley.
All right. It is moved by Roger Gagnon and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Paul Finley for the creation of new lots at Old North Road be approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date. That all conditions be met on or before March 12th, 2027. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, be surveyed and transferred to the municipality. And that a covenant pursuant to section 118(1) of the Land Titles Act be registered on both the severed and retained lands to provide that the lands on the south side of Kipling Road West may not be transferred independently of the lands to which they are attached to on the north side of Kipling Road West. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application is coming back from a previous file. Sorry, I'm just pulling up our pretty sketch here. So we're creating 2 lots, which I've tried to outline the property lines to make it a bit more clear because there's a lot going on. So the new severed lots are this red part here and the green part here. By severing these out, it is going to create these 5 different lots. So you've got your 3 retained. This is to correct, this application came initially through in 2016 due to the names changing on title. They did unfortunately merge back together. So this application is just to essentially split it all back up again. It looks very busy,
Well, it's
but
easier to look there than here.
yes.
So I guess my question is, lot 5, like, does anybody have access to drive there?
So in this
I don't-
kind
Is
of,
that a road?
yeah, coming through here, that is Old North Road coming. through
Oh,
the
okay,
middle there.
okay, I see the.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. I thought that was just another line drawn. Go ahead, Roger.
My only question is, everything's already done. This is just housekeeping, right?
Essentially, in a way, yes. The application was originally approved in 2016 to create these lots.
Okay.
And then they were merged. I do believe the severed one was initially kind of split where the green and blue split is on the other side. And this
Okay.
time it's just being taken all together. Paul, are there any other slight differences?
Severed 2 would be the only other basically new lot created as part of this.
And the road.
Well, and we had even transferred part of the road up to that blue-green line previously. And now we'll survey the rest of the municipally maintained portion of the road. That's why there's that little cul-de-sac at the end of it. So we'll make sure that there's room there for the snow plow to turn around or a school bus, whatever on the final plan.
So the one
So-
in the, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Roger.
the one in the center, which says part 4 and part 9, Is that same owner?
No, that's been transferred out previously, so
Okay.
that is a separate owner.
Okay.
And we had created the blue and the yellow with severance consent before,
Okay.
but unfortunately they all got transferred back into the same name. You'll
Okay.
see the horizontal line through the middle of the red, the blue, and the yellow, as well as the other piece you just referred to. That was the original severance. The pieces immediately above that were lot additions. And of course, lot additions are a sort of a one-off consent. So as soon as the abutting land was put in the same name, everything inadvertently merged back together. So we're just trying to recreate what had already been created.
Okay, I'm all right.
That's the term, recreate.
Go ahead, Ken.
This is just a little bit of ignorance and an education opportunity. Do the retains not have to be touching, per se? So I mean, we essentially with this lot that's already been severed off, and what we're looking at now, we've got one owner going with 6 different lots coming from one property, right?
So generally, the approach we take here is to not checkerboard. So you can't say severed, retained, kind of get, we'll say freebies in a way. In this circumstance, they did already pay for the applications. And they are creating the lots that were there. So that's kind of why it's been taken in this approach.
Okay, so this is all one owner, correct?
It's all Paul
Yes.
Finley. Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm sorry, I should have introduced Carol Finley, his wife is here with me this evening. Paul's
So-
unfortunately down in Florida.
how
Poor
many
guy.
times have this lot been severed? Because correct me if I'm wrong, they can only do it 3 times, correct?
Well, on.
By our bylaw.
Yep, and when the original severances came out, they were in separate ownerships. So that's why when we initially created them, they didn't immediately merge on title. Everything got put into Paul's name after the fact, and that's what caused them to merge on title. Initially, these properties were checkerboarded between Paul and Carol, or Paul and Carol and Paul, Carol, whatever. But it was when everything got transferred into Paul's name that, as particularly with the lot addition severances, that it then all merged back together, unfortunately.
And I do recognize where you're coming from with the 3 lots. However, I think this may be a bit of a different situation because we're kind of redoing it. They're not new lots on top of it.
No,
Yeah.
and that I understand, and I don't have so much of concern of approving this, let's say. My only concern is what's our number? Have we approved 2 severance or 3 severance so far? The reason I say that is a comment that Paul made that they're making sure that at the end of the road, there's enough room for either the plow turning or the bus turning. Well, I'm getting that impression that if that's going to happen, then they might sever the big one at the top for other lots. Well, are they going to be able to? Are we at number 2? Are we at number 3 now? I just want to confirm. 'Cause I'm okay with the whole thing. I'm
Yeah.
okay with everything moving on. But I think we need to establish whatever number we should be at. Are we at 1, or is this like Paul said, the first time when it went back to Paul Finley's name, or Mr. Finley, I should say, I get, but does that erase everything that was done before? Personally, I don't think it should, because that's something that, it's just trickery around. So I think it should stay, but I just want to know what number we're kind of at.
If I could, essentially we're at 1, and probably easiest to point. This is the only new lot that's being created, is the green piece. This lot was originally created with severance consent as well. This piece was added on to it. What we're looking to do now, but now that everything's merged, we're just saying this is going to be all of the new lot. So essentially, this is a lot addition onto what we already have. So lot additions don't count as new
Yeah.
lot creation. These were already created from previous consents. So really the only new piece we're creating is separating the piece east of Old North and what we call the farm property up above. Now, and I know the municipality's going through their new official plan process. Some municipalities don't set a number on the number of severances that you can take out of a lot. Most say 2 to 3 to 4, and then anything over that has to be by plan of subdivision. My own personal views are on that, or is if the infrastructure is already in place, why do you need a plan of subdivision, and why do you limit it to just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 lots? Especially when you would approve a plan of subdivision anyways, it's just a land division. But in this case, I would say this is just 1 lot, would be my opinion. And so even with the municipality, I'm sorry, what is the number now, 3 or 4?
3.
3? Yeah, so they would qualify for 2 additional severances at the top.
And like I said, I know they'll qualify just by what you were saying even before. I just want to, if we can at some point get a number of what it is, not for us, but for you. And is it 1 or is it 2 or is it 3, right? Just so that you're aware.
This file?
Yeah, for this file specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I understanding it right that currently this is all one big lot? The previous severances have been wiped out, let's say, they're null and void. So this is really all one big lot. And with the checkerboard that we're seeing, we're getting 6 out.
There are,
Kind of, sort of, but not quite. And the reason that it's a strange situation. So the original severance consents were to create this lot, and this lot. So those were all done with severance consent. They came back later and we did lot additions to make each of them a little bit bigger. So we added parts onto each of these lots that had already been created. Now, usually if you have a certificate of consent from a severance, once a severance, always a severance, even if you own abutting land in the same name. The only problem is lot addition severances are kind of funny. It's a one-off deal. So the severance consent works for that one transfer, but then if the abutting land then goes into the same name as these pieces, you can't rely upon that certificate. Now, we can still rely upon the certificate to take out the lower pieces. So what we're saying is we've already got those lots created. Those ones are there. Because of the lot addition is the only reason why they're merging back all together. And so when they merge, does the lot addition then merge back to where it was? Does it merge on to the piece that you have the consent certificate for? You know, and I'm just not sure of what the answer is in that case. But the intent always was that these lots had been previously created some years ago, and by severing off this piece in the middle and this piece already having been sold, you've got the natural severance of the roads, and so it orphans these 2 pieces back to what the original intent was. And then the intent when Paul and Carol first came to me was that they wanted to add some additional land onto this lot that they're going to be transferring to their daughter. So this one always was intended to be a lot addition severance, the same way the first one was. But once we realized everything had merged, we just said, well, let's just create it as one big lot. We'll get a new severance consent on top of that, and then that will be good forever. And really the only severed line we need is this one, because the road, once the road is transferred to the municipality, Kipling Road's already been transferred to the municipality, then it would create a natural severance other than this line right here.
a
You
lot.
get all that?
Clear as mud?
I'm just gonna fall back to my original question. Are we looking at 1 lot here in the eyes of municipality?
I would say in this situation, you have 2 lots because you've got your green I would consider the green and the red to be your severed lots.
No, I mean, as it stands currently, let's say they're not submitting a severance application.
Yes,
We're looking at one big lot. And we're checkerboarding it into 6.
it's a bit more complicated because
I
there
understand,
were,
yeah, I understand that it's more complicated than that, but that is essentially where we're at. And I understand, Paul, that these lots physically, when you go there, exist how they are shown on the map, and that's fine. However, in the eyes of the municipality, we're looking at one big lot, right? And we're doing 6 severances. That's not in line with the official plan, right?
So how many homes are on there right now?
I believe right now there is what Paul and Carol always referred to, well, their own home was here where you used to live, correct, Carol? Did the people that buy this lot build a home yet?
No, Paul and I did, and then we sold it.
Okay, so there is a home here, there's a home here. The yellow is still vacant, the red is still vacant, the green is vacant, and then there's the old farmhouse and farm buildings up here, just kind of right where my finger is now. So there are 3 homes on the lot currently. And with the previous consents, I would argue that if you transfer those out, you would have 4 lots currently, as opposed to just 1.
And I think that's what I was getting at. So how many different owners own lots on this land right now?
Right now, out of all the colored pieces, only 1. They're all in Paul Finley's name.
Okay, so then going back to what Ken was saying, everything there right now is one big lot that belongs to Mr. Finley.
Except we have consents already granted. So those consents, other than the lot additions, anywhere we have a severance consent granted, Paul could transfer that out into Paul Finley and Paul Goodridge. And that's legal. We don't need approval from the committee to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying we do already have consents. It was the lot addition pieces that kind of screwed us up with everything then merging together.
so as it sits right now, it's all in one ownership. The bottom part of the yellow, the blue, and the red have a certificate on them, so
Yes.
they could be separately conveyable. So in a way, you're looking at 3 lot additions and 2 new lots.
Yeah, correct. So
And
Yeah,
it's-
because we're recreating the original lot additions that we've
correct.
done
So
in the past.
technically, there's already 3 severances that has been done in the past.
Correct.
Not, and I'm not saying that to say, well, there's already been 3, so we shouldn't do it by no means. So to understand a bit of what Mr. Anderson is saying is, like, he's seen it as one big lot, but technically, no, there's 3. And, well, 4. If you're looking at the blue, the yellow, and the red, those are already previously severed from 2016, I believe you said. Then what we're looking at is the green and the top portion.
Correct.
Charisma?
It's a fancy way to circumvent the plan.
Well, we're not trying to circumvent it, actually. We do have the severance consents from before. So if it was possible, like, well, for example, tomorrow Paul Finley could transfer, this is going to his daughter. He can transfer this piece to his daughter. He could transfer this piece into Paul Finley and his daughter. And I'm sorry, I just can't remember her name. And then he could transfer this piece into Paul and Carol. And then Paul would just own everything from here on up. And then basically, like Sam had said, we're doing a lot addition, and 1 new lot. So legally, those lots exist, but it's through, I always call it the Planning Act, the law of unintended consequences, because no matter what they said they set out to do, it usually did exactly the opposite, and they're trying to correct that now. But this is one of those situations where even though we've created a lot, we added to it, but now that lot addition is creating that potential merger of both the severed piece plus the lands to the north of it, as well as the lot addition lands. So it's a strange situation. It's a little out of the ordinary as well.
Roger, anything?
I'm good.
So I guess my question to you is, are we, by okaying this, opening us up to bigger concerns from other individuals that might come and try to do the same?
I don't believe so. I think this is such a unique situation, given the past. We have also changed our procedure now. Back when this was done, the Planning Act didn't allow you to stamp the retained lands. So you have this kind of merging situation. Now we have the opportunity to stamp the retained. So if this had happened today and everything got changed on title, it wouldn't have remerged. So we have procedures in place. The Planning Act's now been updated to reflect the fact that this won't happen again, where we have to pull it all back apart.
Okay.
So I don't have any concerns about that one.
Okay.
So one last question.
Of course.
Yen, you may have explained it, and I'm sorry.
Poorly,
There's a lot.
obviously.
It's a lot
There's
of
a
planning
lot.
act.
What you were just explaining, where you're saying, you know, we have this, this, and this, and then after the fact, do the addition, addition, addition. Why aren't we doing it that way?
Why aren't we doing it that way? Because it's quicker and cheaper to do it this way.
There it is.
Yes. And they'd already paid for the 3 severances here. They'd come back and paid for the 3 lot additions. So we're just recreating it back to what they'd already paid for. And we're still paying for the new severances that we've applied for, that we are actually creating in this one.
So we want to do it improperly just to save money.
I'm sorry, pardon?
So the intent here is to do it contradictory to the official plan in order to save money.
No, not at all contradictory to the official plan. It's, like I say, we've already got the 3 severances anyway. We're just trying to put it back to the way it always was.
I don't know that when that policy was created, it did contemplate this situation as well.
I mean, the original intent too, you had mentioned earlier that it was, I'm sorry, man, I've forgotten your name.
Carol.
It was Paul Carroll owning these lots, right? So they've already kind of done the roundabout way initially.
That's not considered a roundabout. That's just how it was owned on title. That's how a lot of people do it. Any developer that's buying subdivision lots, that's just the way to make sure that they don't merge together on you. You do see that quite frequently. People will do that or put it in a partner's name, put it in a company name. That one's not considered to do.
Or have a buyer
because-
on standby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when they were purchased, they were already separate lots. It's not an end run that they wanted to retain the legal status of those lots that they had purchased. They paid full purchase price for them. If it was to merge with another property, obviously the value would have went down. So it was to retain the legal status of the lots that they were buying. And because of the way the Planning Act is written, it would have merged them all together. Hence the name law of unintended consequences. They've made a lot of changes to the Planning Act recently, though, to avoid that situation in the future. Like Sam says, you now get a certificate for the retained land. If we'd had that certificate for the retained land, it wouldn't even be a question at this point in time.
Okay. Roger, anything? I don't see you anymore, so.
I'm good.
Okay.
One other quick point on this one, and this may just be semantics as to how it's worded, the condition about the section 118 under the Land Titles Act, particularly for the blue piece down in the southwest corner, the lakefront property that would attach back to the other blue piece. Paul does have he's trying to work out a deal with one of the environmental agencies to take over that land. It's all just bulrushes and swamp and lakefront that really isn't usable.
So right now it's Crown?
No, right now Paul owns it.
Oh, okay.
It's part of his lot, but it was naturally severed by the road. So we don't mind the section 118 in the short term, But as long as, if we can show that it's going to an environmental agency or a public agency, that we wouldn't necessarily need to re-sever that land because it is naturally severed now. But there would have to be a sign off from, the planning clerk for the municipality, planner for the municipality, before that subsequent transfer could occur under the section 118. So as long as we take that into account, that it doesn't really fully merge them, that they could still transfer it, but at your discretion.
I would recommend, if we're gonna do that, to amend the condition that it says that restrictive covenant be put on so that it may not be transferred independently, unless being transferred to an environmental agency.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives us that out without it being sold privately to someone to develop.
Yeah, because you can't build on that piece and it's really of no value.
Good?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess if we have no other questions, we'll put it to a vote. Roger, Campbell, are you in favor of moving this forward? Eric? Number 3, C10 25, Denis Landry.
And it's moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Roger Guignon. Be it resolved, the application for the creation of a new lot at 558 Nipissing Street be approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office, and a copy of the home survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are up to date. That all conditions be met on before March 12th, 2027. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. And in the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road located on either the center or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled road, including the retained lands, be surveyed and transferred to the municipality. Through you, Mr. Chair. This one, we're going back to doing something a bit more cut and dry here. We're just looking at creating one new lot. Both the severed and retained do have the minimum lot area and frontage for a partially serviced property. I'll leave it at that, fairly straightforward.
Any questions?
I believe both the severed lot has water now, municipal water, correct?
Yes.
I think
Both of those, both.
Yeah. Both the severed and retained.
Yeah, I remember when they came across the Nipissing Street from Mathieu Road there. But I just wanted to confirm that the severed lot had water also. I'm
Yes.
good.
Questions? All in favor? Good.
Next one.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And number 4, C1125, Réal Ghislaine Rivet.
Thank you. It is moved by Roger Guignon and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of a new lot at 375 Samarais/Leverett Drive is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited to the land registry office, and a copy be provided to the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date. That all conditions be met on or before March 12th, 2027. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled road be surveyed and transferred to the municipality, and that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided. Through Mr. Chair, this application is to sever the existing property in half. It does have frontage on Leverett and Samarais, so we're splitting it. So the southern retained portion would have that frontage on Samarais, and then the severed would be onto Leverett. Both meet the minimum lot sizes, frontage, no concerns there.
Any questions?
Why can't they draw a straight line?
We were drunk when we did it.
The ditch.
No,
It's the
we're
ditch.
following We're
Oh.
following the municipal drain.
Okay.
That's why it's a crooked back line, so it's a natural feature that people know.
No problem with that.
And if I look on Seborang, all those from 1 to 7 have already been severed, I guess, in the past?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had a quick question.
Sorry, can you give your name, please, and
My
your
name-
address?
Yeah, my name is Annie Grengi. I live on 402 Levert Drive with my parents, Patricia and Eric Grengi. So we were just wondering, like, is there anything that's going to be happening right beside of our house? Like, will this affect where we're living?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this will not have any impact on the property boundaries of your current property, no.
No?
Are you right next door on the top part on Levert Drive?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that property, that's the property boundary, so everything is gonna be on towards the solar panels.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Any other questions?
So, sorry, my parents were just asking, what's the goal for the severed area?
So,
Listed for sale.
yeah, to be honest, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when somebody comes to us and asks to sever a lot, we don't, it's not, I don't want to say it's not our business as to why they're asking. If they intend to sell, that's their prerogative. But I mean, if they're asking to sever and to give it to family members or sell it to members of the public or whatever the intent is, for somebody else to farm, or that's their business, right?
Yeah, and if I may add,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, so the severed parcel will also can still be within the rural zone. So any uses that they propose to do on this would have to comply with the rural zoning regulations. If you have a concern, you can always send me an email. I can send you those regulations. If they were to try and do something beyond what those uses are permitted, they would have to come back in for a zoning amendment or minor variance. And if that was the case, you would be circulated again and you would hear about what that application is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roger,
I'm good.
Campbell? Okay. So with that said, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Carry. And we have one more item, 5.2 minor variance, MV 2507, Denis Larocque.
Thank you. It is moved by Campbell Anderson, seconded by Roger Guignon. It is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to increase the maximum lot coverage for all structures on the property from 10% to 23%, and to increase the lot coverage for accessory structures from 10% to 10.56% for the following reasons. Meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application, there was a previous garage. You can see, there we are. There is an existing single-family dwelling on the property. I'm just going to scroll here. This is when it was first constructed. So you got your single detached family, and they had a fairly sized garage in the back at that time. They did demolish that garage last year and are looking to put up a new garage in that location. It is a bit larger than the previous one. So that 23% sounds a little bit more, I don't want to say scary, but a little bit more,
Substantial.
thank you, that's what I'm looking for. But when you compare it to the previous garage that was there, the previous garage, the overall lot coverage at that time was 19%. So in actuality, in how this is actually looking, it's just a 4% increase overall.
All right. Any questions? Go ahead, Roger.
So they just want to increase, so the minor variance in this case is to increase the structure size from 10% of the lot area to 10.56%?
So through Mr. Chair, the zoning regulations here are that the maximum lot coverage for the accessory structures on the property is 10%. So
Mhm.
that accessory coverage is going from 10 to 10.56. And then because the property is privately serviced, the lot coverage for all structures on the property are also that 10%. So when it comes to the lot coverage for everything on the property, that's that 10% up to the 23%. It's just an odd way that the bylaw is written that the 10% applies in both cases.
I'm good.
Go ahead. Ken.
Just ensuring, so I'm assuming this down here, this is the garage, right?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay, and we're not, they're increasing the size of it, but we're not going any further towards the lot lines?
No,
We're going the other direction?
yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
very good.
Anything else? Okay, so I'll put it to a vote. All in favor? Raj? Carried. And I believe that will take us to the end.
Yes. So it is moved by Roger Guignon, seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on March 11, 2025 be adjourned to April 8th, 2025.
All in favor? Roger, are you gonna be back by then?
Nope, you're still in charge.
We'll talk.
Just for that one, unless we have to leave early, but if not, we'll only arrive a few days after, so I'm gonna miss that meeting.
Okay,
But I'll join you by Zoom.
Sounds great. See you then.
all right, that's it.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. We don't have anything to close the meeting, no?
No, we're good.
Okay, all right, have a good night, everyone.
Have a good
Good
evening.
night. Thank you.